Salam alaikum, welcome to Questions with me, Mohammed Shafiq, exclusively here on British Muslim TV. Thank you so much. It's great to be back. As you know, the past few weeks I've been in Pakistan, helping with the flood victims and just catching up with family and friends and attending various conferences. So it's great to be back in the UK. I hope you've missed me because I've missed all of you. So a very warm welcome. You're watching British Muslim TV. It's great to continue our programs as this. You're watching this week's edition of Questions live from our studios here at British Muslim TV Centre in Wakefield. Wherever you are, a very warm welcome and good evening. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We're broadcasting now on Sky Channel 752 and across social media at the handle British Muslim TV. Now, wherever you are, sit back, enjoy. We've got a very packed programme tonight. First of all, I want to start by paying tribute to the leading Pakistan journalist Arshad Sharif, who was brutally killed last week in Kenya. He was a brave, determined, principled man committed to the values of a free media. His questioning was driven by his question wasn't driven by how heavy the envelope was, how packed it was with money, but how you interact and you hold the powerful to account. Because that, in the end, is what journalism is all about. And we in the West, me and many of the broadcasters, are free to ask the difficult questions of our guests, our community, our politicians, our governments around the world, and not have to suffer from the threats against one's life that he and many of the journalists, not just in Pakistan, but across the world, are suffering. Now, he received death threats to the point where he understood that, in essence, in a democratic society, it's about how we can hold the powerful to account, not based on what is, in essence, about how do we make our country and our world and our politics better. Now, for doing his job in Pakistan over them years, Imran Khan was deposed. He held the powerful to account to shine a light on what was happening. And he had to flee to Dubai. And where it's alleged, an allegation denied by the Pakistani government, that their government put pressure on the UAE authorities to return him to Pakistan. Now, they notified him that he could no longer stay in Pakistan and not stay in Dubai because there was lots of pressure from the government. As I said, the Pakistani government denied that, and we'll keep an eye on what happens. He then went to Kenya. We understand he applied for a Kenya visa, and he was given a visa on arrival in Kenya. Now, Kenyan police claim his car was fired on. So let me just get right. The Kenyan police claimed his car failed to stop at a checkpoint and he was killed when police fired on his vehicle. Now, there's obviously an investigation going on, but one thing is clear: journalists around the world, and in particular in Pakistan, face threats, torture, and being killed for doing their job. And for all of us involved in journalism, Arshad Sharif was a name we were proud to know and look up to. Tonight, we offer our condolences and solidarity and love to his wife, Javeria Sharif, her 5 children, his mother, and the wider family. We want to pay tribute to him and hope that his death doesn't go in vain, and that there will be justice, and that his memory, his contribution will live on for many, many years to come. Now, we want you to comment on the big stories we're covering tonight. Call us now on 01924 231083. Messages on the WhatsApp number, which is on the screen now. And if you're watching this on Facebook, Assalamu alaikum, post your comments in the chat box and we'll read them on air later. Tonight, first, we head to London to talk to Ismael and Naeem, Floyd, Briggs, about Black History Month. October was Black History Month, and what does it mean to be Black and Muslim? And then we finish off in the last hour discussion what happened to Ashad Sharif and the banning of Imran Khan in Pakistan by the Electoral Commission there, and the long march which is going on at the moment with the renowned commentator and journalist and broadcaster Dr. Hamid Al-Mashriqi. He'll be joining us live from Manchester. So we want to hear from you tonight. You can call us on 01924 231 083. You can message us on British Muslim TV across social media. Alternatively, you can send us a WhatsApp message. The number is on your screen now. The questions we are considering. You know I'm a bit rusty after being off air for 4 weeks, so please do be a bit gentle. The questions we're considering tonight: how do you celebrate Black History Month? What do you make of the murder of Ashad Sharif? Now, with Imran Khan's long march in Pakistan, what do you think will happen? Please share your thoughts. 01924 231 083. Messages on WhatsApp or post on social media. We'll read some of the comments throughout the programme. Okay, let's get on started on the programme. Now, Black History Month in the UK happens every year in October. It's a chance to celebrate, commemorate and reflect on the contribution of Black communities to this country and the wider world. It's also a chance to reflect about the lack of progress in every industry, the rise of racism and lack of opportunities for young Black men. The Salam Project is an exceptional organisation dedicated to making life better for young Black communities. They work with African and Caribbean communities in London and Manchester, and if you like, they're empowering those young people to stand up to gang violence, extremism and radicalisation. Let us reflect on Black History Month and the Salam Project with Ismael Lee South and Naeem Floyd Briggs. I'm pleased to both for joining us live here on British Muslim TV. Gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. Very well welcome to the programme. It's a great honour for British Muslim TV to have you both on the programme.
Alaikum salam. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, it's great to have you, and thank you so much for your patience. You know what I'm talking about. So, Ismael, first to you. Tell us about Black History Month and what it means to you.
Alhamdulillah, Black History Month in the UK, for me, is celebrating Diversity UK. So it's a time when we can celebrate Black people's contribution to societies and communities. As someone who's a Muslim, most Black brothers and sisters that I know, we make a joke. When we go to the mosque, the only time we hear about Islam and Black people is when they talk about Bilal, may Allah be pleased with him. And that seems to be it. So one benefit of Black History Month, it forces, I don't know, forces may be the wrong word, but it encourages imams, Islamic scholars, Islamic people of influence to learn more about Black Muslims, more than Bilal, more than Malcolm X. So, and it's a time for people to understand various contributions of Black people to the Islam and to wider British society and world society as well.
Yeah, that's a really important point that you make there. Naeem, to you, I suppose a similar question. What does Black History Month mean to you? I think you might be on mute, my friend. Okay, we will get there.
Here we go.
Yeah, we can hear you now. The joys of live TV. Naeem, what does Black History mean to you, sir?
So bear with me 1 second while I sort this out for you. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
We can hear you loud and clear.
You can hear me loud and clear.
Just switch your camera there. There we are. We can see you now.
Sorry about this. All right. Here we go. Okay. We'll start again.
We got there, yes.
But yeah, I mean, for me, Black History Month, it's hard to really kind of just contain it within a month, obviously, but it's a good reminder, you know, for Black people's imprint on world history. I think Western culture, Western countries wouldn't be as wealthy and sustainable today if it wasn't for the innovation, the hard work, intellect, and the courage of those Black people that came before us. I mean, there's lots to give credit for. But for me, there's an innumerable amount of Black people that dedicated their lives to change. Black History Month just reaffirms that fact. And me, as a proud Black man, it just reminds me I have no excuse not to impact on my community and ultimately this nation, hopefully, you know, one day the world. It's a celebration of our ancestors, their excellence, motivation to strive for greatness. and it also gives me a sense of community, tasks me to kind of create better paths for my successes and those that are coming after me. Reminds me of my duty, you know, to my son, my nieces, and the younger ones. When it comes to Black history, I try to look at the past, the present, the future as a collective. And for me,
because I was just going to say that's a really powerful point there, where you focus on writing your story so that future generations are able to celebrate it as well. Ismael, I think it's really important to get this question in before the break, because we're just a couple of minutes away from the break. Tell us a bit briefly about the Salam project and the stuff that you do.
Alhamdulillah, the Salam project originally started with myself and Brother Rakim, and basically it was to provide positive initiatives for Black Muslims in London when we first started. And then we do this by facilitating workshops, outreach, mentoring, going into prisons, schools, youth clubs, masjids, churches, if they need be, around London and now around Manchester as well. And thankfully now, alhamdulillah, we're now doing work in various prisons, various schools, various youth clubs. Brother Naeem is one of our star mentors and outreach workers. And also, I must say, he's a fully qualified dentist as well. So while he was at university, he was volunteering with the Salam project. So that's what we do. And even though we do work around Black Muslims, we also do work with Muslims in general. And now we do work in the generic Black community as well. So we work with Black community members who are Rastafarians, Christian, non-religious, Pan-Africanists too.
Yeah, that's really, really important. So we are reflecting on Black History Month, which happens in October. It's a whole month. And rightly so, people are saying it's an opportunity for us to learn about the history and the lived experience. And also, I really found it fascinating with Naeem talking about building and writing your own history so that we can help future generations benefit and making the world a better place. Right, we're going to take a very quick break. Thank you for your patience. And when we come back, we'll continue the conversation with Brother Ismael and Brother Naeem. Join us on the other side of these very important but short messages. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to Questions with Mohammed Shafiq, exclusively here on British Muslim TV, live from our studios here in Wakefield. We're taking your calls now on 01924231083. Get in touch with us on social media handles, British Muslim TV. We've got an exclusive conversation with Ismael Yousaf and Naeem Floyd Briggs from the Salam projects. We're reflecting on Black History Month, but before we go to our guest again, I do have a caller, so let's see if we can welcome the caller. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sorry.
Can I talk about Ashad Sharif?
You seem to be really distant. If you can put a phone next to you, we might be able to hear.
Hello?
Yeah. Assalamu alaikum. How are you doing, sister?
I'm fine, thank you. I just want to discuss a few points about Ashad Sharif.
Okay, this line's really bad. Let's see if we can correct the line, sort the line out, and we'll come back to you. Stay on the line there. Our colleague producer will sort that out for you. Okay, so as I said, we're talking about Black History Month. Ismael and Naeem are with us. Ismael, tell us about some of the sessions you've been running through Black History Month in October this year.
Alhamdulillah, we've been mainly running a few sessions. So Brother Naeem, he's been running sessions at Bedford Prison on aspirations and life skills. And then we've been running Black History Month workshops. We do one called The Untold Black Muslim History of the UK, where we talk about Black Muslims who've been coming to the UK since the 8th century till present day. So we go, and also we do one talking about the contribution of Muslims of African American, Afro-Caribbean history as well, where we're talking about Muslims who have been in the forefront of promoting good and contributing society, or from Britain, America, the Caribbean, and currently in Africa now, in the Western diaspora. And also in African communities in India and Pakistan as well. So we've been delivering those workshops in mosques, community centers, schools, madrasas, and Islamic schools as well, in London, Manchester, Leicester, and Luton.
Yeah, been really, really busy. Naeem, tell us, what's the feedback been as you've been delivering those sessions?
Generally, it's been positive, and people obviously, I think more often than not, people obviously do receive it quite well. There is, I mean, some days can be challenging, let's be real, and especially when you are going to speak in the prison. Motivation can be a key factor, and trying to just kind of hone in on them really. But I think generally speaking, I think a lot of people are interested in what we got to say. A lot of people just want change in their life. And as long as we kind of just help tap into that, provide some relatability, both within ourselves, our culture, our lives, and also within history as well. Generally people quite receive it really well, to be honest.
Yeah, and when you run those sessions, it's an opportunity, as you said, to reflect on Black History Month and the contribution of previous generations. And then how do you link it into what's happening now? Because there is, let's be honest, there is still racism in our recruitment, in our policing, in our Muslim communities. There's racism. And how do you inspire people during your sessions to take on and be positive about the challenges against racism towards Black communities?
I think the key thing sounded... Who's that director?
Now you go.
Sorry, to you, Naeem. I was going to give...
Yeah, I think for me the key thing is to understand the demographic I'm speaking to. And for instance, I do get a lot of Black Muslims, and one thing I do try to do is link it towards Black Islamic history, because there is a lot of forgotten Black Islamic history, is Black scholars, Black prophets, and a lot of people don't realize these things. And when I kind of talk about these struggles, it provides relatability for Black people today who do struggle to find their place within the Ummah today. And it just reminds them, oh, you know what, we do have a place and we did contribute. And we're not just here to just sit down and, be quiet, be humble, but not necessarily just sit and, be quiet and not have our own voice, So that's how I personally try to, encourage people.
Yeah, thank you for that. Ismael, I mean, how we talked about Hazrat Bilal, radiallahu ta'ala anhu, how do you assess the racism towards Black communities from within the Muslim community?
Yes, racism does exist within the Muslim community. And I would say that it has gotten is much better now than it was 10 years ago, 10, 15 years ago. There was much more ignorance, but I have to be honest, that I have seen many developments, many progress. I'm seeing progress in Muslim communities, in masjids and in mosques and within Muslim institutions, especially organizations like the Muslim Council of Britain, Islamic Society of Britain, and Mosque and Imam National Advisory Board. They've come to us as the Salam Project, and they've asked us to recommend people of African, Afro-Caribbean heritage to be on advisory boards. So through our networks, we've been contacting some of our contacts who are accountants, lawyers, professionals, entrepreneurs, to be on their advisory boards, because they were honest. They said, look, you can't say we're not doing anything if no one from your community comes and advises us. So now I do see there's some progress. Yes, racism does exist in the Muslim community, but there's been a lot of progress in recent years.
How do you see it, Naeem, when you out and about in the community? How do you confront that racism that still exists?
Yeah, I mean, it's just about being very honest with it. For me, I've experienced, especially me, I've traveled about the UK quite a bit. So though, predominantly from London, I've lived up in North, where I've experienced probably a lot more racism than I would have down in the south of England. And for me, it's just, I draw upon a lot of my experience, and I'm very candid about it. I think that's how, people who listen to me are receptive, because I'm very, open, honest, not covering up anything. And me as a dentist, I experience racism in my own industry, maybe not overtly, but it's very passive in the sense of not many Black dentists and not many Black Muslim dentists, So yeah, I mean, look, I don't use the word embrace. I'm open to the fact that it exists. I find my place in the sense of how, as a Muslim, how I'm meant to respond to it. Not everything is always about attack back, fight back. Sometimes there's a place for fighting back, and sometimes there's a place for dealing with things with wisdom, dealing with things with intellect, and ultimately dealing with things the way the prophets, Mohammed sallallahu alaihi wasallam, would have dealt with it.
Yeah. Ismail, I mean, that sense of the prophetic tradition, how would the Prophet have dealt with racism today? What can we learn from his life?
As you know, and all the scholars and everyone, your viewers know, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was the best of character, and we've read about him, the way he dealt with racism and discrimination amongst his Sahabas was the best of ways, and we strive to be like that. But forgive me, I'm going to be naughty. Sometimes I cannot always follow that way. Sometimes I might have to be a bit assertive. So, but I one day I strive to do it the way of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So yes, the Prophet Muhammad's way sallallahu alaihi wasallam was the best way, was the best of hikmah, best of wisdom, best of tact. But sometimes I fall short when I see racism, discrimination taking place, whether it's against someone of my heritage or someone of another heritage or someone of a different gender or so forth. So we strive to do it the way of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Yeah, because I just reflect on the fact that, we talk about Hazrat Bilal, but for the Prophet ﷺ to elevate a black man to be the muezzin, to call to prayer, which is a very visible thing to do, was sending a message that Black Lives Matter.
Yes.
And are of value, and there's no difference. The final khutbah, where he talked about there being no difference between a white man and a black man, an Arab and a non-Arab. Do you think we've lost our way as a community? We've lost our connection to that prophetic tradition?
I think, yes. I think not only in discrimination against people of African and Afro-Caribbean heritage, I believe we've lost our way with way we're treating women as well. When I'm speaking, like, for example, sometimes I get invited somewhere and I bring my wife, and me and the brothers, we get taken somewhere, and my wife's over there, and I'm thinking my wife's taken care of. And then when I finish, my wife's complaining, look, the way they treat their sisters is not right. This is not right. So I believe us as a ummah, we've lost our way with discrimination against people of different races, people of different genders, and people of different ways. The way some of our most Muslims, alhamdulillah, when we're dealing with people of the Christian faith, of no faith, alhamdulillah, we're fine. But we've got, I would say, a small contingent who are very ignorant, and the way they speak to people who are not of the Islamic faith has been turning people away from Islam, and it gives a very bad name to Islam. So I do believe that as a ummah, we need to step up our levels.
Yeah, we definitely do. Final question to you, Naeem. What's your message to our viewers here on British Muslim TV about the importance of Black History Month, and why all of us should play a more active role in learning that lived experience during the month?
For me, to put it succinctly, Black history is history. It's contributed to every part of society, construction, academia, so much. So I think it serves as a reminder of our past and allows us to pay tribute to our ancestors whose shoulders, we stand on today. It gives us an opportunity to collectively assess where we are now and also where we want to be. I think kind of through joy and celebration, obviously alongside education and reflection.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Sadly, we've run out of time. I could listen to you gentlemen all night. Thank you so much, Ismail South and Naeem, Floyd, Briggs. Let's see if we can come back and continue this conversation. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Ameen. Salam alaikum.
Allah bless you. Thank you so much. And reminding us about the importance of Black History Month and why we all have a responsibility to live that, to understand, to celebrate, and to reflect on that lived experience. And when George Floyd was brutally murdered in the United States, there was a reckoning. There was an opportunity, not just in America, but around the world, of people wanting to listen to that lived experience and understand the racism and barriers and bigotry that Black communities are suffering. And it's important as the Muslim community that we have the best example in Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, that we return back to that prophetic tradition in how we interact with ourselves and fellow Muslims, but also wider society. And that's why Black History is so important, because it's a month when we celebrate, commemorate, and remember the sacrifice of previous generations. And we get a chance to write our own story in the long history of our faith, our community, and our nation. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll be heading to Manchester to talk to Dr. Hamid al-Mashriqi. Join us after this. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to Questions with me, Mohammed Shafiq. You know, I've been off for 3-4 weeks, and it's first time back, and you think to yourself, I'm a bit rusty, and I was a bit rusty in that first half an hour, but I think I've got my mojo back. Right, we're going to be talking about Pakistan. Now, when I was there a couple of weeks ago, there was lots of conversations around the political change. Imran Khan, the former Prime Minister, was deposed in April this year. There was a vote of confidence in the National Assembly, which he lost, and he then subsequently resigned as Prime Minister and replaced by Shahbaz Sharif. And there's been lots of turmoil over these past few weeks about politics in Pakistan. What does it mean for the ordinary person on the street? And what's been really interesting is the difference a year made in my conversations with the taxi drivers, the workers, everybody I interacted with last year didn't say very pleasant things about Imran Khan. They were blaming him for the economic storm that was brewing, the impact of COVID, and the way the cost of living was going up 4 months ago. And they were blaming him because he was Prime Minister. Fast forward 12 months, and he's now a government. You've got the coalition parties called the PDM. I don't even know what that stands for. Pakistan Democratic Movement, I think it is. That sounds about right, doesn't it? So these parties have come in and taken over from Imran Khan. The value of the rupiah has dropped massively. Inflation has hit 26% this week. The difference between the dollar is massive. Economic hardship, the cost of living is massive. And this year, when I was talking to people, they were talking about what is happening in Pakistan and blaming the current government. But I suppose when you're not in government, that can be an issue. Right, before we go and talk to Dr. Hamid al-Mashriqi, let's take a caller. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. You're live on British Muslim TV.
Walaikum salam.
Hello, sister. How are you?
I'm fine. You mentioned in the beginning about Ashad Sharif.
Yeah.
I just want to discuss few points about
Please, yeah, go ahead.
Sharif, that he was practicing an honest and original journalism, and he was always speaking about how to common people get privilege in government affairs, and they should have more value. And for that kind of journalism and truth, and he wasn't following politician agenda, he was following pure Pakistani agenda. And for that kind of purity and clean journalism, he was punished. Why fake Sharifs, who are the richest in the world, why don't they get punished in the world for going anywhere and staying anywhere? Why don't they get killed? And only those brains who are working for original politics, original journalism, they raise issues and fight.
How do you see the weeks to come, the long march, Imran Khan on this collision with the military? What do you think is going to happen?
ISI is our asset, Pakistan's asset, and we should.
You're talking about the intelligence agency, yeah.
Ashad Sharif was Pakistan asset, and those kind of assets shouldn't be wasted for these kind of politics. the way he went in Kenya, and the corrupt system of Kenya, and why those fake politicians go anywhere in the world. They don't have any fear. They don't. His brain was shot because his brain was working for the truth. His brain was
and his voice was the truth.
Original journalism, and he was working for the remote democracy.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and thank you so much for your kind words. I think it's a great tribute that you've just set out. Thank you so much, Sister, one of our regular callers joining us there. As I said, if you want to share your thoughts about the murder of Arshad Sharif, the Pakistani journalist, you can call us now on 01924 231 083 if you want to share your thoughts about the Pakistan protests that are led by Imran Khan. Right, as I set out at the top of the program, renowned and respected Pakistan journalist Arshad Sharif was brutally killed in Kenya last week. The Pakistani Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif has announced a judicial commission to investigate the circumstances of the killing of Arshad Sharif in Kenya. And the Kenyan President William Ruto has promised a full investigation from the Kenyan side and has said no stone will be left overturned to get to the truth. Now, Arshad Sharif's body was flown to Islamabad last week, where his funeral was held with thousands upon thousands of people gathering and paying their respects at the Shah Faisal Mosque in Islamabad. He was laid to rest by the side of his late Shaheed brother, who was a soldier who got killed fighting for the country. Now, Pakistan's election commission a couple of weeks ago disqualified former Prime Minister Imran Khan for 5 years in the Doshakana case for hiding proceeds from the sales of gifts he received from foreign leaders. After the ruling, the Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf chairman Imran Khan said that he cannot become a member of parliament for 5 years. He's currently appealing the decision to the courts. He's announced a long march towards Islamabad in his quest for a general election. Today is day 6 of the long march from Lahore to Islamabad for the election to be called. What will happen, and is there a real threat now of the violence and bloodshed? We've got an hour to reflect on all these questions with the one and only Dr. Hamid al-Mashriqi. He's a journalist, broadcaster and commentator based in Manchester, and he's been keeping an eye on events in Pakistan over these past few weeks. I'm pleased to say he's joining us live on British Muslim TV from Manchester. Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Hamid. Great to have you back on the program. How are you?
Walaikum salam. Thank you very much. Really, it's a pleasure to be on British Muslim TV.
Do you know, for journalists like you and me, when we woke up and we heard the dreadful news of Arshad Sharif, I had the privilege of meeting him a couple of times in Pakistan. I'm sure you would have met him as well. What was your reaction to the murder of Arshad Sharif?
Oh, devastating, shocked, disbelief, and to be honest, a kind of a trauma I went through, because he was a very brave journalist. He was an amazing human being. I met him, and he was a very good fan. He was a very jolly person, and he was, we used to play, having some cricket and other things in Islamabad, and he was used to join everywhere. So he was a lovely person, and on top of it, he was a patriotic Pakistani who just wanted to expose the corruption. I would call him in one program. I call him. He was like Edward Snowden, or what they call. The WikiLeaks guy, and he's like Julian Assange, Edward Snowden, and others. But his life was really threatened because he took, risk. I should say, confronting too many big evils of the country, I should say. And he was, everybody who was, watching him, they believed him, whatever he was saying in his investigative reports. And he was working along with many other investigative agencies to expose the corruption of Pakistan politicians and in other departments as well.
Yeah, do you think that this was, we obviously accept that this was an attack not just against him, but against all journalists and the media family, which you and me are part of, but he was just doing his job. He fled from Pakistan for his life. What do you make of those threats he faced? Because the government of Pakistan says there were no threats. Yeah, Arshad Sharif, and I've been talking to his wife, Javeria, over the past few days. She's very clear that there were threats. And she's got evidence of those threats and is prepared to present that evidence to an independent commission.
Arshad, I mean, it is very astonishing if government says there was no pressure. He had 24 police FIRs against him across Pakistan. And he has charges of, treason from the government in FIR. And he was forced to left or flee from the country because he was already threatened with his life threats within Pakistan. So there is no way that anybody can justify that. We have to see what Kenyan police is saying is one thing, but we have to concentrate on the reasons that why did he has to leave the country first of all. What was those reasons that he has to left the country? And he was helpless, and then his visa was expired in UK. He went to Dubai. Then the Dubai government forced him and asked him they will deport him if he will not leave. Then he was forced to go to Kenya because the visa of Kenya is very easy for the Pakistani passport holders. And all that things, I mean, there has to be some persons who must be responsible, some elements who are responsible for it. And there has to be an open investigation. There has to be, I should say, that very thorough probe into it, that what are the causes of his death, what are the reasons behind it, and who forced him to fly everywhere because he was feeling insecure and he was threatened to his life. And eventually that is what happened. As far as the Kenyan police version is that it is a case of mistaken identity. I mean, it is very hard to accept it. And we living in England, we have many Kenyan friends, and they tell us all the stories about Kenyan police, about Kenyan, system, how corrupt it is. And I mean, people can do anything there, and there are so many illegal groups there working there. There is target killing, and there is the ransom killing, and all that things are going on in Kenya anyway. The sad thing is, I am very surprised that who gave him the advice to go to Kenya.
Yeah.
The sad thing is that why couldn't he fly to any other country where he could be much safer as compared to going into Kenya? I mean, there are many questions that has to be raised.
There's lots of questions.
There are many things to be investigated.
Yeah, there's lots of questions. And I just want to ask you one more question before we go to our break. We've got about a couple of minutes. What do you make of the Judicial Commission, which has been announced in Pakistan? And what do you make of the President of Kenya, William Ruto, who's promised to get to the bottom of this? Will we ever get down to the truth of what happened and why?
To be honest, for a Judicial Commission is a good step, but it all depends how free and fair that Judicial Commission will be, how deeply they would have a mandate to investigate, what will be the mandate of it, what will be the powers and powers of that Judicial Commission. And on top of it, the Kenyan president, I mean, it's I'm sorry, unless I will not see the real results, I cannot trust on any statement, even if it is by the Kenyan president, because they has to thoroughly investigate. There have been incidents like that, and in Pakistan it has a history as well that where we had few other murders like Benazir Bhutto, Liaquat Khan, and they were never been disclosed that what was the reason.
Hamid, just stay there. Apologies for interrupting you, but we're just going to take a very quick break. We'll take a break and we'll continue this topic of Pakistan. We're reflecting on the murder of Arshad Sharif, the long march in Pakistan, and what now for Pakistan with Imran Khan. Join us on the other side of this very short message. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi. Assalamu alaikum, welcome back to Questions with me, Mohammed, Shafiq, exclusively here on British Muslim TV. We hope you're finding the programme informative. I wouldn't say enjoying it, because obviously when we're talking about a journalist who was brutally killed, Arshad Sharif in Kenya, and the outpouring of love for him, for Imran Riaz, for Jamil Faruqi, for all the other journalists who are doing what we are taught in this business, which is to get to the truth, to ask those difficult questions without fear or favour, and to hold them to account. I'm joined by the renowned journalist and broadcaster, Dr. Hamid al-Mashriqi. Hamid, there's a real fear now amongst the journalist community. I was in Islamabad, certainly before he'd been killed, but I got a sense talking to the journalists and TV channels I visited, that there's a real fear amongst the journalist community about being targeted, their families being targeted. What can we do here in the UK, in the Western world, to support those journalists?
Brother Shafiq bhai, two things. One, the community, journalist community in Pakistan, they have to be united as well. First of all, right? There are many different journalist organizations, PFUJ and other organizations, but sometimes there is a big division in it. Although at this incident, they all have showed their concerns and solidarity with Arshid Sharif Shaheed, and they have expressed their concerns. But similarly, while we are living here, we have to raise our voices against, crimes against journalists across the world, and especially in South Asia, and then mainly in Pakistan. And we have to, I mean, if we can send their voices across UK and across United Nations and European Union. We must let them know that there is a concern of Pakistani journalists who are talking about against the corruption. That is the only thing we can do it. And on the other hand, I think we should all, the way all over the world, Pakistani journalists are standing together with Arshid Sharif, family, and any journalist like him. I think we have to come together and reunite ourselves rather than being divided by some political motives or some interest, personal, very small interest. That is a very much concern. I mean, we have to find, I should say, black sheeps in ourselves as well, in our communities as well.
Yeah, that's really powerful. And solidarity to all the journalists who are on the front line, not just in Pakistan, but around the world, who are holding the powerful to account. We send you our love and solidarity. Right, let's move on. The Electoral Commission of Pakistan has banned Imran Khan. What do you make of this? And there's some confusion. Is he banned for the current assembly term? So that means he can stand in the next election? Or does that mean he's banned for the next 5 years? Can you just clear that up for us?
No. There is no confusion in it, Shafiq. This is very simple. I have discussed with few of the lawyers. It is only for the one of the seats which he elected as a prime minister from Miyawali. That seat, election commission have deseated him for the term of current legislative assembly. So it means whenever this assembly will dissolve, that ban will or disqualification will be finished automatically. But the problem is that it can affect him in further elections in contesting, because Pakistan's Article 62-63, the Constitution says that once it is proven that you are not I should say, faithful, or you are not trustworthy, then it can be continuously lifetime ban. So this is like if Imran Khan would not have challenged it in the court, then it could have affected his further contesting at the next time. So there is Imran Khan have already challenged it in the Islamabad High Court, and it is there are many questions already raised on the jurisdiction of Election Commission, on the authority of Election Commissioner, whether Election Commission of Pakistan has the power to disqualify someone under these allegations. So it is very unclear, and according to my research, an election commission did not have the mandate to disqualify Imran Khan or any member of parliament.
Is that because
in such cases?
Is that because it's not a court of law, and only a court of law can ban an elected politician in any assembly?
Yes, there are two reasons. One, it is not court of law. Secondly, election commission have authority to disqualify anyone if they have not submitted their assets of annual assets in the election commission. And if election commission have any objection, election commission have only 120 days window to raise the objection and take the action against it. So there are many discrepancies in the decision.
And sorry, do we know that Imran Khan declared these gifts in his assets?
Imran Khan claims that he has declared, first of all. Imran Khan says that some things he has sold, he might have not clearly stated, but something he did not own anymore. So he believed that he doesn't need to mention it, that he had it and sold it. But this is one thing which he has to, I should say, justify in the court. But on the other hand, as far as the legalities of the decision of the election commission is concerned, there are many questions raised, especially that whether there was a mandate or there was they crossed the mandate. They they went beyond their mandate of disqualifying Imran Khan under these allegations. So I already there is a stay order from the court, which means that they cannot de-seat him unless there is a complete verdict from the court. So the matter is in the court, and Imran Khan and his lawyers are very confident that they will be able to to dismiss this allegations and dismiss this case against him.
And what do you make of that central allegation that Imran Khan wasn't honest? These are gifts that were given from foreign leaders. It's a bit like here in the UK, our Prime Minister would get gifts from foreign leaders, and they can buy those gifts if it's above a certain amount, and they just pay a reduced rate, and those gifts they can keep if they purchase it. It's very similar here in Pakistan, but what do you make of that allegation that he wasn't honest in how he dealt with the gifts?
Shafiq, brother, it has not affected him publicly at all.
Yeah.
Because he has already mentioned in his about 2.5 years ago in a TV live in an interview that he mentioned it, that he had to buy some things from the from the gifts he got from the different head of the state, and he said that I have used that money to build the road which is coming to one of the villages. So he said that instead of spending the money from the government treasury, because it was in a long queue there, I gave my money from that gift from which I got it. So he had already justified one of the main allegations. Secondly, public believe that a person like Imran Khan, celebrity like Imran Khan, if he wants to make money or if he wants to earn money, he can make millions by just doing a half-an-hour cricket commentary. We have seen he was used to make all money in this way, and making the money, legitimate money, is not a problem for him for such a small amount with what the allegations are against him. So public is not accepting him, accepting the verdict of election commission, and public believe that it is a political motive vendetta decision against him.
Because the Imran Khan has been alleging that the chief election commissioner is not impartial. There's allegations about audio leaks around this as well. So is this part, you think, of the to-ing and fro-ing of ordinary party politics and not based on facts?
It is indeed, because Imran Khan has been very vocal against chief election commissioner Sikandar Sultan, and he was saying that he's been not impartial, he's been biased, and he's been become the part of the political party rather than playing his impartial neutral role. So there is so many evidence Imran Khan have publicly showed as well. There is some audio leaks of election commissioner as well. So it is very big controversy at the moment. That's why there is not much politically affected this thing. Rather, it has given more popularity to Imran Khan, that he is the only one who's on the one side, and rest of everybody is doing a campaign against Imran Khan since he's been ousted from the Prime Minister office.
Yeah, well, we're going to, after the break, talk about the Long March and the impact that is having. What do you make of the current coalition government? This is 12 or 13 parties, PDM government. How do you assess how Shehbaz Sharif is doing? He's currently in China, meeting with the Chinese president. There are deals to be done around economic development. How do you assess him?
I wish him all the best for his Chinese tour. China is our great long-standing friend, and we believe that China will help in our economical crisis. There is no doubt, but it is not about these 13-party coalition government. It is the relation between Pakistan and China as two states, as two brotherly and friendly countries. As far as the current government is concerned, this coalition have many questions. And at the moment, we have seen that the main biggest party, People's Party after PMLN, they are on the back seat at the moment. Some of them saying that Asif Zardari is in favor of going for the fresh elections as soon as possible. So there are some differences as well within the current government, but they are trying to drag it as much as possible. So, I mean, it's not an easy ride for Shehbaz Sharif at all. I should say that it's not an easy ride for Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, and running the government with such a complicated coalition where they all have different ideologies, different backgrounds. So
but they're relatively, sorry, just that, Hamid, they're relatively united in the hatred for Imran Khan. So that's one thing that's keeping them together.
Yeah, that's the only one thing which have united them, and that is to, they all are against Imran Khan. And that is the thing which is giving advantage to Imran Khan, because he claims that all the culprits or all the people who are one way or the other involved in any kind of economic, financial crime, they are on the one side and I am on the one side. So there is no doubt that this coalition government have only one point agenda where they are all commonly jointly together, and that is working against Imran Khan or keep Imran Khan outside the politics or outside the government or power.
Yeah, it's just fascinating time in politics. I was just saying I was in Pakistan, as you know, a few weeks ago, and that's the interesting thing. As a journalist, as you will know, rightly, we get to meet ministers, and I met a couple of ministers, one from Pakistan Muslim League Noon, and one from the People's Party. And it's that thing that binds them together, isn't it? The sense that they hate Imran Khan, and yet they're happy to be in the same government just to keep him out.
That's true. I mean, this is what they are thinking, that as long as Imran Khan is out, they will remain in power. That is what they are thinking. But they are not working on the next elections where people verdict, where election ballot box will decide who's going to be in power in next. And we have seen on the roads, the people are with Imran Khan on majority. You have seen as well.
Yeah, I definitely. Right, we're going to take a very quick break. I know, Hamid, thank you so much for giving so much time tonight. We're going to talk about the Long March. We're going to talk about events in Pakistan. And we're going to talk about that press conference. Yes, that press conference. You're probably guessing which press conference. Anyway, I'll tell you in a second. Don't go anywhere. We're going to have a very quick break. When we come back, we'll continue the important conversation with the broadcaster, Dr. Hamid Al-Mashriqi, and reflect on the Long March in Pakistan and Imran Khan. Will he come back to power? Join us on the other side of this. Salam alaikum. Salam alaikum. Welcome back to Questions with me, Mohammed Shafiq. We're talking about Pakistan. We're talking about the Long March and Imran Khan. And what now for the economic and political turmoil that Pakistan is witnessing. My special guest this evening is Dr. Hamid Al-Mashriqi. He is still with us from Manchester. Hamid Bhai, we've had the Long March. It started from Liberty Chalk in Lahore on Friday. Today it's 6 days in, and it's still not reached Wazirabad, which is happening, I think, tomorrow. And then it's going to head Lala Musa down the GT road towards Jhelum and then Gujar Khan and into Islamabad, expected around the 10th of November now, which is 6 days over from what I expected. What do you make of the Long March, and how do you assess the chances of success for Imran Khan?
Actually, I mean, the way the Long March was started, I was a little bit shaky, to be honest, because I was thinking that perhaps there will be too much public out, and Imran Khan there may be any incident or anything which can, erupt the situation. But now, since it has got some momentum, I believe that Imran Khan is successful so far to putting the pressure on the current government and the establishment that they whatever the decision they want to make for the elections or some appointments, they have to consider the public interest as well. And he's not leaving the everything open for the current government or the establishment to decide. He wants to have his role or his say, which is he's saying it will be a role of the public. So I mean, as far as I'm looking into it so far, that he is successful to have a large gatherings everywhere. We have seen Gujranwala was very, very big success for him in terms of Long March. Gujranwala is known to be Shahbaz Sharif and Nawaz Sharif's loyal city. So the people, the way they came out, it has given a lot of encouragement to Imran Khan, and it has sent some alarming messages to the people sitting in Islamabad. So I think Imran Khan if he keeps the momentum high, he would be able to have some good decisions in his favor.
Yeah, and the objective, as Imran Khan has been saying these past few weeks, is that he wants free, fresh, fair elections, and he wants them to be announced imminently. Do you think he'll get that?
To be honest, it all depends on how he reaches to Islamabad, because still there is a lot of resistance from the government, interior ministry. They have they have gathered thousands of police officers, policemen, and then the rangers, then paramilitary forces in Islamabad, and they are saying that they will deal with them heavy-handedly. So, I mean, it depends that how many people Imran Khan managed to bring to Islamabad. We have to see how many people will be coming from the KPK and Peshawar, because they will reach within one day. So that's why Imran Khan is keep building, and the pressure and the momentum is carried on. So Imran Khan, from the last day when he will be crossing like Gujar Khan or somewhere in about next 4 to 5 days. That is expected. Then he will call from Peshawar as well, and then he want to enter in Islamabad from the Peshawar and from the Lahore, Punjab side gathering. So he is expecting that there will be a large gathering, which where the government would not be able to resist anymore, and they would have to give him the fresh election dates. So it all depends how it turns up in next 4 to 5 days. Very critical.
And we're going to keep an eye on this, and we're going to hopefully get you back next week if we can.
Yeah, I think next week is very critical.
It's critical. And we know that there is lots from Azad Kashmir who will be joining the convoy and the march at Jhelum.
And Gilgit-Baltistan.
And also you've got Gilgit-Baltistan also joining, I'm assuming, by air. But the interesting thing, there's also from Karachi and Sindh, there is also a convoy for the Long March, which is also traveling through Sukkar, Rahim Yar Khan. I know these places now because I've been to them. I know the journey through Multan and Lahore and then onto the motorway. So is that the plan for Peshawar more? Is that where they're going to gather?
Yeah. So, that is the target where there is a junction of Committee Chowk and Peshawar. That is the main area where they want to have gathered, because there is all the GT road is joined from Peshawar to Lahore. It has like a joint point where they all go towards Islamabad from Kashmir Highway. So that is going to be the center point where everybody will be trying to get together. And if Imran Khan is expecting 2 million people, even if he managed to bring, I believe that over 200, 300,000 people, the government will have no choice but to accept his demands. It depends how many people he would be able to manage to bring to Islamabad, because the people from Pindi will come out on that day. Keep in mind, Pindi has become a big supporting city for Imran Khan itself. So people of Pindi, people of Peshawar, and people coming from Lahore all the way to Gujranwala, Khariya, Lala Musa, Jhelum. So all that gathering, if he will not be able to manage about 200, 300,000 people, I will not call it a successful long march then. But I believe that he will be able to do it. Imran Khan is saying he will be able to have 2 million people, which is very unexpected, or I would say too much optimistic. But even if you manage to have 300, 400,000 people, that will be a very good number to force the government to call for the new election date.
Yeah, and the incumbent government has promised a very strong response to the march. We've seen lots of ministers speaking up against it, but then also I saw it last week. Wherever I went in Islamabad, in Pindi, there's containers everywhere. I went to Peshawar on the motorway, there's containers in Swabi interchange. What can we expect? What do you think the response this time round? Because last time, lots of violence directed towards the protesters. This time, the police are saying they're not going to use violence against fellow Pakistanis. How do you assess what the government response will be to Imran Khan?
Shafiq bhai, last time the situation was bad because in the Punjab, the government was, Hamza Shahbaz Sharif was in power, and he used very illegally excessive power against the public peaceful protest. That's why, I mean, the many reasons that Imran Khan could not accomplish that on 25th of May. This time is the situation is changed, that Punjab police is like a part of the government, so obviously they are not stopping them. And that's why they will have a tough time in Islamabad. And obviously the federal government is threatening them that they are going to deal with them. But I think if there will be large number of people, then I believe that there is no public and like these enforcement forces, they never go for the bloodshed or anything, because that is the most optimal priority for every Pakistani sitting here or anywhere, that we don't want any bloodshed or any violence. And whether it is from the government or anyone. So government has to be very careful and watchful that there should not be any bloodshed in that to stop that long march.
Yeah, that's really important. What do you make of the crowds? Do you think he can sustain this? Because one of the commentators, I was watching Pakistani news channels before I came on the program tonight, and they were saying that very much in each city, in each town where he is gathering, people are just coming to that bit of the Long March, and then those people are going back to their normal lives.
Yeah.
And what do you make of that? Do you think that's true?
It is partly true. There is no doubt, because Imran Khan himself, every night he called the day off after about 8, 9 o'clock, that today is day off. We move forward the next day. So it is like he's taking city by city. But the thing is, when he will be closer to Islamabad, then he will give a final call to everybody that let's come and join me. Whosoever have joined me from Gujranwala or Kamoki or everywhere. So then there will be some convoys coming from there. So this is going to be the strategy. That's what Imran Khan keeps saying, that I am doing this long march with a lot of work and lot of strategy behind it. And Imran Khan is very confident about his strategy, that he will be able to have a large gathering once he reaches to Islamabad, and there will be hundreds and thousands of people there. So I think so far his strategy is working, because we have seen that whichever city he is going, there is large number of people are coming on the streets and supporting him. It means that in every city he has large support. So if I say that 10,000 people are coming from each city from Punjab, it makes over 200,000 people anyway.
Yeah, and because you said there's convoys coming from Karachi and Sindh on the Lahore Islamabad motorway. There's even from KPK, you got the convoys from Azad Kashmir.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, and it's just trying to see. Now, we saw the tragic death of a journalist at the rally. Life is really tense for so many Pakistanis. Complaints about the impact of this long march on everyday life.
No, that is very sad. Honestly, it is very sad what happened with Sadaf Naeem. I mean, I have seen her on one of my two programs in Channel 5, but I believe that it was it was sad incident, and then the broadcasting institutions has to take responsibility as well, that they do not provide a proper transportation and everything. And if you look into the video, just before, a few moments before her death, she was running after that container, and it was very high risk the way she was running. I
was just going to suggest that when you do stuff here for the media here in the UK, I've done stuff for BBC and CNN and other networks, they do a risk assessment. So in 2011, when it was the riots here in the UK, I was sent out into the field to film where there was rioting going on, and there was a full risk assessment. There's none of that goes on in Pakistan. They've just it's dog eat dog, isn't it?
There is unfortunately there is no concept of health and safety or risk assessment for the journalists in Pakistan in any way. I mean, I would like to remind you that there were journalists who were going at the time of, Operation Zarbe-Az and others in tribal areas. And we had seen that they were doing their live transmissions while, the exchange of fires and exchange of bombs was going on between terrorists and Pakistan brave army soldiers. So, I mean, there has to be training for how to do your health and safety, how to be well equipped when you go outside the field, how to conduct the risk assessment. So there are a lot of things which needs to be done, and there is a lot of responsibility of these big media houses owners who had billions in their banks, but they do not spend on their workers, which makes them vulnerable in incidents like that. It is a vulnerability of that lady because of her situation, her financial situation. She wanted to have 1 or 2 good shots of Imran Khan. She did an interview of Imran Khan one day before, prior to her death. She was very excited and she was very happy that it was the biggest achievement of her life. So, I mean, the media houses has to consider, I should say, the health and safety and the proper equipment and safety and security of their staff, wherever they go for the reporting or in-house reporting.
Yeah, I think that's really powerful, and we do send our love and condolences to her Sadaq's family as well. Right, we're going to take our final break. When we come back, we're just going to reflect on that press conference that we've not talked about, the press conference with the head of the intelligence agencies in Pakistan and the military spokesman, and what impact that will have on what is happening in Islamabad now. Assalamu alaikum, welcome back to Questions with me, Mohammed Shafiq. You know what I love about this program is you are educated so much and you are enriched by the conversations we have, and sometimes the very difficult conversations we've been doing today. So much so that you don't realize how fast time goes. We're in the last 12 minutes of the program. And my special guest this evening is Dr. Hamid al-Mashriqi. He's a broadcaster, commentator, and extraordinary man. Always active on various social media platforms, but more importantly on broadcast studios across the world. He's still with us live from Manchester. Hamid bhai, what did you make of that press conference of the ISI, the intelligence agency, which is the equivalent, let's say, MI5 and MI6, and the Director General of the ISPR, which is he's a spokesman for the Chief of Army Staff, the military spokesman. And they had that press conference where they openly targeted Imran Khan. I mean, my jaw nearly dropped when I saw that. What do you make of that press conference?
Shafiq bhai, I mean, I would say that whosoever gave them that advice of doing the press conference, he was not, I would say, a good friend of DGISI or DGISPR. It was a very backfired press conference because, I mean, it was an extraordinary incident that, head of our intelligence agency, which we claim, and I mean, I'm proudly saying that it is one of the best spy agency in the world, ISI, it has its name. And chief of ISI means that he should not come on a politically motivated press conference. Although they say they are apolitical, but press conferences like that raise a lot of doubts that whether they are really apolitical. So, I mean, I was not expecting it. Absolutely jaw drop that why should ISI chief come in while we have Pakistan Army have its own ISPR Lieutenant General. ISPR is inter-services, press release. So they are there is a complete institution who handles the media. So whatever narrative they wanted to send the message, they could have kept the same source. But sitting Lieutenant General Naeem for that press conference, I think was not a good decision. And we have seen the public reaction was not appreciating because people think that, I mean, it was very much against Imran Khan and it was only for one motive. And I mean, it has backfired. It causes a lot of trouble for for that agency as well. And I believe that I think they won't do it ever again.
Yeah. Well, and then doesn't this press conference prove that the establishment, the neutrals, are actually involved in politics and have been involved in politics for the last 75 years in Pakistan?
Exactly. I mean, there is no doubt that they have been involved openly and, they controlled as well 40 years of dictatorship, 35 years of martial law we have faced openly, 4 martial laws. Then we have seen, so many other elements where they were involved in the politics or changing the government. So there is no question about it. And now I think it's the best decision from the army to apolitical, remain out of politics, do not involve in any, political dirty games. But I believe that the way they wanted to give that message was wrong. It is people have seen it that it was behind, it was a motive behind it, rather than just expressing themselves that we are not into politics. Actually, that press conference looked like a politician's press conference. So this message was not right. And on top of it, as you have said, that we have never seen MI6, MI5 or CIA or other chiefs are doing the press conference, especially on a political situation in a country. It is absolutely out of question. On top of it, I believe that the ISI role in stability of Pakistan is very vital. They are the defenders of Pakistan, ISI and all Pakistan armed forces and security agencies, including all the security agencies and security forces, whether it's police, army, navy or air force, or ISI or MI or IB, they are all the institutions why Pakistan is so strong, strengthened in terms of its defense. But a step like that was not a wise step. It was, I think, hasty step, and it has backfired. The reason is that people do not want any kind of political involvement or political statement from our spy agency chief. That was the question. That spy agency chief, why he has to come on a press conference. I think they have understood that as well, that it was not a wise decision. It was a mistake.
And you spend a lot of time debating on Indian news channels. The opposition in Pakistan is saying that, sorry, the government in Pakistan is saying that Imran Khan is speaking against institutions. How is it viewed in India?
To be honest, Indian media, they try to pick every single word, whichever they can, use against Pakistan's narrative or anything. Whether it was Nawaz Sharif when you remember when Nawaz Sharif had speeches against our Chief of Army Staff, then they had National Assembly. Ayaz Sadiq spoke against Chief of Army Staff. So similarly, whenever they get any kind of opportunity to speak against Pakistan, especially when they have any clip from any Pakistani politician, they use it. But I believe that even in India or even in Pakistan, fake Indian media, fake Indian narrative is not selling anymore. People do understand that the Indian media sources are not credible, and they are again one motive, and that is to malign Pakistan. That is to just whatever the way they can malign.
Yeah, but how do you? I mean, I've watched you, and you get shouted down. You get this scream at you, and you're just so cool. You don't ever raise your voice. You were so calm. How do you do it? I don't think I could do that.
Honestly, Shafiq, millions of people ask me this question. All you need is very strong nerves and enjoy the situation.
You just sit there. You just sit there and smile. You just sit there and smile.
I always say how helpless they are, that they have no choice but to shout, to put something, impose something on me. And when I reply them so calmly, they feel that they have failed. They are destroyed inside. I mean, today when I was on 2 channels, and eventually the guy was so irritated that I am not angry. I'm giving him a reply with very much logics. I'm explaining him that how Indian, sponsored terrorism had Pakistan suffered for many years. So it was it became eventually a very interesting debate. But I mean, this all you need is a very great nerve, and it is not easy. I fully understand with you. I fully agree with you.
Yeah, well, rather you than me. I certainly, I appear on the mainstream media many times, and debated far right people, and it's very, very tough. And I salute you, sir, for doing that work. How do you assess what's happening over these next few days? We've got we're in the last 5 minutes of program, but we've got. We've got till the 10th, and today's the 2nd. So we're looking around 7 days another week before it reaches Islamabad. How do you think this is going to develop?
Shafiq, very interestingly, they have 7 to 10 days to announce the name of the new army chief. Because the date of retirement is 29th. Normally, they have to announce at least 2 weeks prior to the date. So it is coming to closer to the same dates where government have to announce the name of the new Pakistan Army Chief. And there is a very significant importance of the name, that who's going to be the next Army Chief. So Imran Khan's pressure, or Imran Khan's long march, is reaching to Islamabad almost the similar days. So which means that Imran Khan definitely want a new Army Chief, but he wants somebody who's not going to be on the one side, or he should be really neutral, and he should not take any part in the politics, which army is committed to do it, and which they have shown the intentions as well. So I think the next 6 to 7 days are very critical. But again, I would say, and I would pray, and I'm sure you will be praying as well, that there should not be any, God forbid, any bloodshed or any accident or incident during these 7 to 8 days, which could sabotage the peace of the country, which could sabotage the whole peaceful process of the long march, which could give an opportunity to our enemies to raise fingers or to take the advantage of the situation. So we have to be very careful. Our security agencies have to be very careful, and most of all, that Pakistani people have to be very vigilant with the situation. Do not trap into fake or false news, and do not trap into our enemies trap, because there will be many fake news on social media and other platforms. So you have to be very vigilant, pray for no bloodshed, and a peaceful protest is right of everybody. And I believe there is a bright future for Pakistan. I am never ever I never have any doubt about the great future of Pakistan. It is a turmoil, political turmoil. We will come out of it, and Pakistan will rise again, inshallah.
Inshallah. And I've just got one final question, and we've got about a minute. I just want to ask you, can you be critical of individual members of the intelligence agencies and the army and still being a supporter of the work that the army and the intelligence agencies do to keep Pakistan safe?
100%, Shafiq. I mean, as a human being, as a Muslim, our history of Islam, it gives us all the option and authority to question anybody who is in power. But it is all, we could have a dispute or disagreement with any individual, but as far as my institutions are concerned, me, you, or anybody, we stand with Pakistan Army, Pakistan ISI. All the Pakistan institutions are my bloodline. I mean, if I go to Indian media, because I know that I am defending the right thing, I am doing the right thing by defending Pakistan's narrative, the two-nation theory. I am defending the narrative of Pakistan's creation and the future of Pakistan. I believe that eventually Pakistan will emerge as a very strong country, despite of all these crises. And the reason is that the people of Pakistan are behind Pakistan Army and all Pakistan institutions. We could have disagreement with some individuals' decisions, not on their personality, not on the personal basis. It could be the basis of their decision
making. And obviously we've reached the end of the program, but their mistakes as well. And thank you so much for joining us. I know you're going to be keeping an eye on what's happening, and hopefully we'll be able to get you back to review how this long march has gone. Imran Khan, thank you so much there, Dr. Hamid al-Mashriqi, joining us live from Manchester. We reached the end of another program. Imran Khan has said he will enter Islamabad on the 10th of November for the long march. And there is obviously going to be a very tense situation as those thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people, as Dr. Hamid said, converge on Islamabad. We'll keep an eye on that. Thank you so much to my guests this evening, Ismail South, Naeem, Floyd, Briggs, Dr. Hamid al-Mashriqi. We'll be back next week at the usual time of 8:30. From me, Mohammed, Shafiq, and the whole team here at British Muslim TV, thank you so much for joining us. Take care of yourself and each other. Assalamu alaikum.